Hello and welcome to this edition of Consider This. I'm your host, Charles Lake, and last week we talked about BPA and what it does to the human body and why IVF is going to be, well, it is important right now because just under a third of the children born are born by IVF. Sorry about my... So let's get into it. We're going to talk about another chemical in plastics nowadays, and it's been in there forever, and it's styrene. So let's go over, and we're gonna start by just going over to the. Again, we are on Patreon. It's $5 a month if you believe that you're getting something out of our work here. And that's about the price of, it's probably less than the price of coffee. So if you click on this right here, it'll take you to our site. There's 2 shows up so far, and today will be the 3rd. And this is a very important show because it discusses, and I want to go down to the fact sheets, which I have right here. And let's see, you're giving me Ashna today. I want you to know that styrene does not occur naturally. And this is from 1994, right here. And they used it in small amounts in ice cream candy. And who's that pointed at? Who eats most of the ice cream and candy? It's our children, right? So and this here is from 2017, and it states that it's primarily a synthetic chemical, and they have found that styrene, anything that burns creates styrene. Your car exhaust, your burn barrels, incineration, anything that burns creates styrene, formaldehyde, and benzene. So this here tells you the different names that it goes by. Let me see if I can make this a little bit easier for you to read here. Maybe not. Okay, so, and it tells you that it affects the central nervous, headache, fatigue, dizziness, confusion, drowsiness. That's some of the problems we have on a constant basis. So how do you know if you're being poisoned or whatnot? And the other thing I want to let you know is styrene is primarily comes from, it's produced when they're making gasoline from crude oil. Gasoline and diesel fuel, styrene is a byproduct. And they don't particularly use that styrene to put in our food. But these side effects are quite damning. Let's go to our next slide here, which is in the diabetes section. And as you can see here, the data suggests that, and I'm going to let you read it because, like I said, I have bad dyslexia and some of the words move on me and some of the words disappear on me. So I don't want to be missing anything, but I want you to get the whole effect. You know, it affects our kidneys and it affects the pancreas, giving workers diabetes, the glucose intolerant. They don't say diabetes. It increases the glucose tolerance in workers. So that's diabetes. That's one word in a nutshell. Okay? And if we go back to last week's BPA, this is also attacks the insulin resistance and causes type 2 diabetes. So these two chemicals that are made separately are being thrown together in the human body. And I do want you to know that for years they have been putting this is here from 2018, right there. And this was the 7th synthetic flavor that was in 2015. Several medical groups got together and petitioned the FDA to eliminate styrene as a food additive, and we can go into that another week. But this is the what happened afterwards. It took them till 2018 for the FDA to get off their backside, and they really didn't do anything about the styrene, because the styrene, the companies say they were using less and less. So the FDA said the 7th, because it's being delisted because it's no longer used by the industry. And that's not what the industry said. The industry says they're using it less and less, but they didn't say they stopped using it. So the FDA, and the only reason the FDA said that is because in 2013, they put out this saying that the styrene going from the food containers, the styrofoam or the clear plastic food containers, was within tolerance. And we're going to show you how that's not true in a minute. But they also say here it can be added in small amounts to baked goods, frozen dairy products, candy, gelatins, puddings, and other food. So that again is pointed to our children. And styrene, along with BPA, are two of the chemicals known to, well, let's put it this way. Autism has been steadily climbing, and these two chemicals attack the brain. So, and we're going to get into that. Let's get into that. So, this here is effects of the food stuff and health effects. And I'll let you read this. You know, it affects your health, mood, your skin, your behavior, your bowel movements. It affects your whole body. Migraines has increased threefold. When I first got poisoned back in 1992, I had a migraine for 8 years, right up to 2000, and it changed in severity. And I've had 7 migraine-induced strokes from this, and 2 of them were 97 and 99 were really bad. I had to learn how to walk and talk all over again. That's why my wife says I never shut up. But anyway, we're getting through this. And so there are other things here, but I wanted to show you that to let you know that you're being poisoned by our own government. And it's because the gas companies, $85 billion a year is not enough, making it from the gasoline alone, that they have side companies that harm you and make you spend your money on your medical expenses. And this is just like tobacco smoke. In fact, tobacco smoke, one of the chemicals in tobacco smoke is styrene. Yet, if you look at all the side effects of tobacco smoke and look at the side effects from styrene, they mirror each other. So what's the worst chemical in tobacco smoke? Well, the nicotine hooks you. That's the hook. What tears your body apart is the styrene and the other chemicals mixed together. And they really don't know how bad it's going to get. So, because the more we have in our body, the more it changes our body. So, and I think we'll come back to this here. We're going to go back to the web page here. And this here shows that, where is it? Right here. 100 million Americans, and this is from 2017, I believe. It don't say. But yeah, this is 2017. And 100 million Americans have diabetes or pre-diabetes. Okay, there's only 330 million Americans in America. So this is about a third of the Americans. Now, I'm going to show you how diabetes has run from 58 to 2015, right here. The CDC has given us this beautiful graph showing how it goes. And in 58, it started to dip down, and then we get into plastics a little bit, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And from 1982 to 88, I drove truck for North American Van Lines. And we did the Pepsi Challenge, where we hauled the soda that were in, one was pink and one was light blue. And you didn't know which one was diet and which one was regular Pepsi. So we would haul them around and we would give them out, and we'd be at grocery stores and all this kind of stuff. It was a big challenge. You had to make the right thing. But as you can see, after 88, it starts going up drastically. And that's when we went from glass bottles, because all the Pepsi we delivered was in glass bottles, to plastic. So as you can see, it goes up here quite significantly, and it hasn't stopped. So when we go back here, and it says 100 million in 2017, and this year actually says to 2015, but so from 2015 to 2024, how many more Americans have been getting diabetes because of the negligence of the FDA for not doing their job and putting all these chemicals into the containers of our food, so it leaches into our food and into the food itself as a flavoring. So let's take a look here now. Oh, so we see how it goes up, and it continues to go up. So I bet you right now we're probably either at two, every other person in America has diabetes or pre-diabetes, or it's 2.5. I wouldn't want to be the half. This is from 1980, excuse me. And I showed this to a lot of politicians, and they didn't want to see it because it wasn't from America. We only want things from America showing us. Well, countries around the world are doing their own studies. And this one here is very, very important, because reports show migration of the polymer styrene into our food, from the polystyrene food containers. So they're the styrofoam and the clear plastic. Some of them are made out of polystyrene. Some of them are made with BPA. Some of them are made with styrene. Now you see how these chemicals are separate, but when they get in our body, now they're together. And does the FDA investigate that? I haven't found any reports. But they found that workers handling this polymer report suffering from neurological disorders. All right, it's a neurotoxin. It's not good, and it changes. Styrene changes the serotonin, and I'm going to let you have at this next word here, norepinephrine, in the dopamine levels. Okay, so they change a lot of things about us. These are your neuron receptors, and as we go down here, it says that it increased the levels of serotonin by 62.5% and norepinephrine by 50%. And if we go down here, and the result is a breakdown in brain tissue. So that's not good. Significant so it changes your mental behavior, your mood, and we're feeding this to our children, and we're wondering why our children are getting upset, because a child is not an adult. A child is going through a hell of a lot more than we are as adults. So this is very significant, and I'll show you how to get to these pages before we're done. And this thing here drives me nuts. I ain't got far to go though, so it's okay. This here is another fact sheet, and it shows gastrointestinal effect, because a lot of the fact sheets don't go into all portions of the body. And this here is one of the first lines knowing that you're overexposed to styrene, so you're eating too much off of plastic or eating too many canned goods or whatnot. I used to laugh. When I was doing this, I had a big old Kenworth, and everybody thought it said Boeing's on the side. And I used to joke with people as saying, well, this thing passes everything but a bathroom, because the last 2 years of my career, man, I'll tell you that I couldn't pass the bathroom. After about 8 months of unloading the styrofoam food containers out of asbestos trailers, which is still legal to this day, your body absorbs all the styrene that's leaching out of because when they're first made, they just heat it up and pressed, and then the machine cuts them off, and they're all packaged in perforated plastic bags so they can breathe. And these bags are stacked from floor to ceiling, because in a 53-foot trailer you can only get 7,000 pounds, and that's it. maybe 7,200. But that ain't nothing for a piece of equipment that's built for hauling 40 or more thousand pounds. So when you're going down the road and that truck hits a bump, it's just bouncing everything all over the place. These trays are in there so tight though, usually pulling them, getting one bag started, you ended up ripping the bag. So they give you a lot of garbage over that. But the gastrointestinal effects is what first, that's the first thing I saw. And then the rest of it came afterwards. Why is that up there? So this here I thought was pretty important for you because it says that it's hazardous waste sites, and you know, this is really bad stuff, and this is in the fact sheets. So I just wanted people, this here is a document from Harvard School of Medicine. And why did this go so small on me? And I figured I'd put this here so you can see that the toxic effects such as developing brain so they're not regulated to protect our children. And the FDA regulates them to protect an adult, not a child. Yet they're letting us feed this stuff to our children, not knowing the side effects. Okay? So, and if you want, this here is, and I'll show you how to get there. And it shows us how we got from here to the silent pandemic with all the health effects, the neurological, autism, and these other diseases that affect the brain, the depression, and this is quite, and depression causes a lot of times causes death because suicide. And so this goes down through, and it has the chemical, and it has a lot of these chemicals that do this to our body. A lot of them been taken off the market, but the oil company has more money than anybody else, so they don't. And I want them to get down here. So it says for most substances listed in the panel in adults, it's been documented. But children worldwide, profound effects such as a pandemic, apparently from available health. So, but this here, the children, they're getting more abusive, more impulsive, and the attention span is much shorter. I've noticed since I've been poisoned, my attention span is, I'm surprised I'm here so long. So I do have problems with my attention span. I have problems with a lot of parts of my body, mostly. So this is, and this was put out in 2006. It's from it's Harvard School of Medicine, along with Mount Sinai School of Medicine and Denmark, University of Southern Denmark. So there's a lot of work been put into this, and it was put out in 2006, I believe. The writing's so small. Yep, 2006, November 8, 2006. So, this is a really good one to go through. Okay, and the American Academy of Pediatrics put this out, and I showed it to you last week, and we got to get this larger so you can see it better. But this Jennifer Lowry, she points out that nearly 4,000 food additives found that 64% of them have no research, no data saying that they're safe for people to drink or eat or anything. So, my diabetes. Let me shut that off. They say that to avoid recycling codes with 3, 6, and 7. 6 is styrene, 7 is biphenol, which is BPA. So there you have it right there. You got the two chemicals that are the worst of the worst of, and there are other chemicals in plastic that do things to you, but they're not quite this bad. You wash wash hands thoroughly before touching the foods and vegetables, especially if you're peeling them and stuff. You don't want to have the residue from the polystyrene or from, because we got to rinse our cans and everything now, having the BPA on your hands when you're getting it on the vegetables that you're peeling that weren't in the can or on the or so forth. So, and this was put out by the American Academy of Pediatrics. So they say don't feed it to your kids. Don't feed them anything off of that. So what they're telling you is do away with all the canned foods, do away with all the polystyrene, and what do we have left? We have paper. We have wheat fiber plates. We have sugarcane fiber plates, which cost a little bit more. And I said this last week, but I've talked to several groups, students in school, high school students, and I asked them, I says, would you rather deal with the side effects of diabetes and all these health problems that have their own health problems? Diabetes has kidney problems, which your kidneys are, as you can see, is affected by the chemical too. So now you're getting a double effect. So these are things that we have to think about. And these are things, as a parent, you must think about. I also have to say that this link here no longer works. This is where I got it from. But our government and all these healthcare places, they love to change the name of their links. So they make you search for them over and over and over again. So that's why I usually download them as a PDF so that I have them. And I have an 8 gigabyte hard drive full of data. So this is another way that our kids are exposed to styrene and other harmful chemicals. It's called VOAs. And so I tried to make this big enough, but if you're looking at it on your phone, you're not going to see it. It says that children are not little adults, and it says that all over the place. And what it is, styrene is used in everything because it affects our neuro system. They put it in pesticides. They put it in as a solvent especially when you go to the schools, after they get done doing the floor, you walk in there and your head starts spinning. At least mine does. Of course, I got overexposed to it. But, and I can't, it feels like I can't breathe. And that's from the chemicals from the where they clean the floor. And it's a floor finish, styrene. Suspected carcinogen, cardiovascular, endocrine, developmental, gastral. This is, so they're cleaning the floor the best they can with the toxin that's hurting our kids. We've got to change the way we do things as a country. This is not good. So, and the last of the other things that I have, oh, I got it off. I'm sorry. I thought yep. All right. So, I hope this here gives you some thought on whether or not you should try to get away from gasoline and go into for electric vehicles. I think it gives you a thought on how we clean our floors in our schools. Are we cleaning them to be cleanly, or are we cleaning them to expose our children to God knows what? Because we're not finished learning about these chemicals. So that's why I say God knows what. We already know they cause diabetes, they cause depression, they cause so much that we have to pay for. The oil company going to pay for it. Oh no, that's the styrene lobby. Well, the styrene lobby should be paying for our insulin. I mean, I thank Joe Biden greatly for bringing the cost of insulin down to $35 for anybody on Medicare. But what about the children that are being born with these? I mean, 1 in every 3, there are more children being born with type 1 diabetes than there have been in the past. So why are we sitting back and gracefully going broke while all the oil companies, the polystyrene companies, the polystyrene lobby that lies to the government and backs the government in corner because they've got so much money, companies and everything behind them. And I'll show you that in future shows. And we're going to take this a little at a time. And I figured the first 3 shows, I wanted to show you how nobody's taking it seriously, especially the Republicans at this juncture. I mean, they used to work with us and stuff, but they're kind of like out out near Pluto. That's what I have to say. And there's several of them that are very good people and willing to work. And then we have the Margaret Taylor Greens and Matt Gaetz. And we really have to put people into government that is going to govern for us. It's going to work for the people, not the corporations. The corporations have made their money. Let's start funneling some of the money into their health care that they caused. It's not that they don't cause it. They do cause it by putting products out that are harming the people. So with that being said, I want to thank you for sticking around and listening. and we hope you got something out of it. We hope you go to our Patreon site and give us the $5 donation so we can keep this going. And I thank you very much. And I stay safe and try to stay healthy. Goodbye.